I asked them, so what made you decide to launch all of our embedded financial products? And they said, we understood the pain point. So they didn't say revenue, which of course is nice. They said, this is actually going to make our users' lives easier. An account is going to give them the visibility and control that they need over their finances so that they don't need to have a shoebox full of invoices and hope for the best at the end of the month, for instance, right? They're actually going to have access to capital. They're actually going to be able to spend and pay their suppliers and manage their expenses. It was exciting to hear a platform that doesn't focus on financial products. They focus on SaaS. It was exciting to hear them actually understand what these products can do and say, you know what? I care enough about this that this is going to be on my roadmap. I'm going to invest. I'm going to put my tech people on this to actually bring it to life.
The views expressed in this podcast are the speaker's own and are not the views of This Week in FinTech or any other person or entity. The content provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal, business, tax, or investment advice or a recommendation, solicitation, endorsement, or offering by me or anyone else for the sale, subscription, or purchase of securities or for investment advisory services of any kind.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Nik Milanović, your host at This Week in FinTech, and I am very excited for our conversation this month. We're joined by Natalie Wexler, who's a VP of Platform Offering Strategy at Adyen, and Jamey Kennedy from Jackrabbit Technologies. We'll dive into a lot today, from how SaaS platforms can unlock embedded finance opportunities to the $185 billion market that is still untapped. But before we go into that, I'd love to give you a little bit more context on who you're hearing from today. Natalie, Jamey, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Natalie, I'd love to kick it off with you. Would you mind just giving our audience a little bit of your background?
Hi, Nick. Hi, Jamey. It's good to be here today. Yes, so I have been in the payments industry for almost 15 years now, looking after the products currently at Adyen for platforms. So everything from payments all the way through financial products, which include capital accounts and issuing. Based in New York, I really enjoy working with our platforms and also looking at the needs of their sub-merchants, which tend to be small to medium-sized businesses, as well as looking forward to the upstream movement in the industry.
Hi, Nick, Natalie. My name's Jamey Kennedy. I'm a technical PM turned payments manager. I work at Jackrabbit Technologies. We are a B2B SaaS provider focused on management of youth activity centers. Core value we deliver to our clients is an optimal class-based solution for posting fees and processing payments. We serve over 7,000 clients in 36 countries.
Well, thank you both for making time to be with us today. I know it's October 2025. This is when payments gets busy, and so schedules are busy as well, but I'm really excited for this conversation. Jamey, by the way, I love the two paintings that you've got in your background today. Are those yours?
Yeah, it's actually a room I very rarely frequent, but I came in for this occasion.
Well, it's working out for the podcast. It's a beautiful background. I feel like I have to up my game a little bit here. Well, just to set us up a bit, I would be curious to talk about the embedded finance report that I mentioned, how SaaS platforms can unlock embedded finance opportunity from 2024 that you all did with the Boston Consulting Group. So according to the report, about 80% of that $185 billion embedded finance market is still untapped. Natalie, maybe starting with you, let's talk about Adyen's platform a little bit and what services it provides. And what's the context here for this untapped embedded finance opportunity?
Yes, absolutely. So it's so exciting. There is such an incredible opportunity that we have right now in the payments industry. And just like you mentioned, it's $185 billion opportunity that we all are able to take advantage of and really think about, more importantly, how do we service the needs of customers in a better way to really help them run their businesses. That's what it's really all about. So the massive need is there, and it's up to us to really think about what are the products and services that are going to help them run their business. And so when you think about how the industry has really evolved over the last couple of years, over several years, over 20 years, but even just in the last two, it's grown over 25%. So what does that mean to us? It means that there is a huge market of small business owners, medium-sized business owners, even larger business owners that just don't have the right products and services to take payments, to have the visibility into how they run their business, to have faster access to cash, to have easy reconciliation, and really just have like a one-stop shop to run their business. And so when we think about that opportunity and we think about what products and services we're developing as an industry, Adyen really comes into play in offering these products and services through platforms. So we partner directly with platforms who have SaaS relationships with these smaller business owners and offer them our products and services. So what that allows us to do is partner with a company that these small business, medium-sized businesses already trust to take payments and have all of the financial products that I just talked about. So it's really exciting. We're super excited to have the opportunity to sit at the table. We run our business globally and definitely have a strong focus in the US. A lot of the products and services that we have been adopted across multiple regions, across multiple markets. And so we're just at the beginning, just at the very beginning.
Well, it's on me. I always pronounce it Adyen, but thank you for pronouncing it appropriately, Adyen. I know that the company has Dutch roots and is a Dutch-based payments provider, but has been growing a lot in the U.S. over the past couple of years. And it feels like North America has been a bigger part of the strategy. I'd be curious to just get kind of the quick snapshot on that. How's Adyen's North America growth? And do you find that there's a specific type of business that really ends up being a good customer for the embedded finance products you provide here?
Yes, absolutely. So yes, we did start in Holland, but it's important to note that we have a lot of operations in the US, and it is a very strong focal point for us. When we think about Adyen, you have to think about us as not only a payments company, but also a payments and financial products company that operates across the globe. So we have operations in multiple regions, as I mentioned. So we are definitely focused on the US market. We are able to service the needs of the US market. And we have to realize that the needs and wants of the business owners in the American market can vary. So we're very, very attuned to that. When we think about the ideal customer profile to work with us, we're definitely working through platforms to drive scale. It's definitely our strategy to reach the long tail of the base through these partners. So we work very directly with these platforms, and we're looking for growth platforms. We're looking for established platforms, really just platforms that are invested in really meeting the needs of their sub-merchants, which they have that SaaS relationship with.
And Jamey, turning over to you, I know you have 20 years of product management experience working on payment systems here, and that brought you to Jackrabbit. I'd be curious for our audience to hear a little bit more about Jackrabbit. What is Jackrabbit, and how do you all work with Adyen?
Yeah, Jackrabbit is a B2B provider of management capability for child activity centers around the world. We serve a number of diverse organizations, from swim schools to dance studios to gymnastic centers to music schools. I mean, the list goes on and on. We have actually been processing payments at Jackrabbit for almost 20 years. We were very early to kind of move into quasi-embedded payment experience for our clients. We have previously worked with external payment processors. And just a few years ago, we decided to evaluate basically working with Adyen for the purpose of building Jackrabbit Pay, our payment processing capability, on their technology using the Adyen for platform stack. And we went down that path, and we've had, I would consider it a lot of success thus far. It's still very early in the game. We're about 3 years in now, about to start our third year, but we're very happy with the ability that we have to deliver unprecedented value to our customers and really dial things in for that unique vertical that we serve, and utilizing kind of the deep data that we have and the information we have with serving our clients in these niches. We're able to actually deliver a lot of value through the Adyen platform.
So I'm looking at my notes here, and I believe you launched and piloted the Adyen component this spring, and we have a couple sample customers here in quotes, and the most interesting client quote was that this is a very easy customer experience when you synced. I believe you have 22 clients now that are synced with Adyen, including Alpha Omega Gymnastics, Dance Makers Atlanta, and the City Ballet of Raleigh. What made you decide, with 20 years of payment experience, to work with Adyen and move over to them? And I'm curious, which Adyen products have you found have really been beneficial to you and your clients?
Well, look, there's a whole suite of capabilities I like to refer to on the Adyen for Platforms tech stack that really enable us to deliver a very dialed in experience for our customers very quickly. I'll start with basically a significant use case that was designed into the product initially, and it was the ability that we had to utilize the sales day feature at Adyen to effectively standardize our processing day with our clients' operational day. So without getting too much into the technical details, that has been extremely well received. We've effectively taken the entire terminology of cutoff time out of the vocabulary of our clients and all of that headache that went with it, 2 steps of reconciliation for today and tomorrow and all of that. So that really has driven a lot of the initial adoption. Our first 1,000 clients on the platform were completely organic, just based on what I like to refer to as self-evident value. We just present what we've done and they evaluate it and they're like, sign me up. So that's kind of just an illustration of the capability that we have with the Adyen platform. As far as capital goes, just to touch on that for a moment, very early on when we first started with Adyen, I recall like in 2022, chatting with Peter Markham about capital and how I thought that our client base would be the optimal client base for the capital products. So we worked down the path together on the journey they released, and we finally got our capital capability operational. I think it was in March this year. And we're only just getting started. We've got a lot of work to do on our side to fully integrate it and kind of get to where we want to go. But the response from the customers that have actually utilized the product has been very positive, as you mentioned. I was actually real quick just on the phone this morning with Denise from Dance Makers in Atlanta. And she was very happy about the entire experience. She actually inquired, as well as I've had inquiry in the last 2 days from multiple clients about being able to access additional capital that she kind of left on the table when she initially accessed a capital loan. And that's another common feedback I'm getting from clients, that they fully intend to utilize this as part of their operational finance.
Well, I love to hear it. A little bit of my background in fintech is working, began my career at Funding Circle, providing small business loans. And that kind of capital solution is just so critical to the lifeblood of the 28 million small businesses that work in the US. And so when you have a provider that that you're working with, like a payment processor that's already familiar with your business, it just makes your life so much easier as a small business owner. Natalie, maybe coming back to you, we've talked about a few of Jackrabbit's customers, Dance Makers Atlanta or the City Ballet of Raleigh. I was browsing through Adyen's other U.S. customers before we jumped on this call, and I noticed a few names that I recognized: Uber, McDonald's, LinkedIn. It feels like there's a pretty wide range in scale and size of customer types here. And you don't get that in fintech a lot, where you have enterprise, and then also small business. So how does Adyen think about platforms tailoring to their users' needs?
Yes, absolutely. And so you're right. We do have such wonderful logos that we have the privilege to work with. And one of the great things that we can do with platforms, and this goes back to our strategy, is we are able to offer enterprise level technology to these platforms that can then pass this on to their customers. So when they work with us, they do have the ability to access some of these really wonderful products, a really strong platform foundation, a global reach. So a lot of the benefits that you would have if you were a big name, like one of the ones you just listed, you do get through your platform experience. And just to touch a little bit on why these products, like especially the capital product that Jamey was just talking about, like how it really kind of fits in and why this really matters, is if you have a need for cash flow or if you may have an emergency. That's basically who we're trying to cater these products to. And so if you're a business owner, it's pretty much everybody, right? Working capital or emergency. It's going to happen at any point of your journey. And so when you think about traditional banks and how they've traditionally made the experience be tailored to much larger customers and kind of not really tailored it to the needs of a small business owner that would need to march down to their brick and mortar bank, wait 6 weeks, have potentially offered terms that don't really meet their needs, or even not approved at all. When you think about all of those dynamics that we have had to live with for so many years, and we now have these products that are based off of the revenue that their businesses already have, we've really been able to, as an industry and as a company, come up with a solution that really meets their needs. So when Jamey was saying that one of his customers is calling and asking about, hey, can I actually access more capital? It's something we hear often. Upwards of 80% of the business owners that take a loan ask for another one. It's very, very impactful because it's easy, it's fast, it meets their needs in a way that's truly catered to them. It's something we haven't seen in the industry in the past. And it's really all because we have a relationship with them. We can see their processing volume. Platforms like Jamey's are great partners for us because they have that relationship of offering them the SaaS and just making it a one-stop shop. They trust Jackrabbit. They can go there. They can run their business. They can see that they have a capital need. They can access it and it's in their bank in hours. So it's just such a win-win for everybody. And then, of course, on the platform side, it creates that stickiness that all platforms are looking for, in addition, of course, to revenue.
And when you look at partners like Jackrabbit customers, what are the factors that you consider in facilitating their adoption of embedded finance tools that help them create more opportunities for their end customers? It sounds like, capital is one product, to Jamie's point, that's really taken off for their small business customers. But I'm sure there's a little bit of sales work to be done and a little bit of customer education to be done and helping the customers understand exactly what the opportunities are for their business if they use additional products.
Yeah, so we've actually been on a journey here because over time, customers, so Jamie's customers, for instance, have started to better understand that they can actually receive these financial products through platforms. So had we had this conversation 5 years ago, maybe not so much, still used to legacy providers. But now, because they are working with companies like Jackrabbit, they trust them. It's nice for them to have one place to access everything, to really run their entire business on one platform. So they go there, they have the SaaS that they use to run their business on the software side, but then they can also take payments. They can also access capital. They can maybe also have a bank account, which allows them to have a center, like a command center, to really understand the visibility, control, reconciliation of their payments, and then also pay their suppliers or expenses. So platforms that really understand that they have a strong ability to meet the needs of customers that haven't been serviced in the past are great platforms for us to work with. And again, the idea here is really just make it easier. Because when you think about small businesses, when you think about medium-sized businesses, they didn't go into business to manage the payment side of the house. Right? This is something they have to do because they need to get paid. They need to make sure they have a control over their finances, but they care more about the studios that they're running. That's what they want to focus on. So our job is to give them the products and services in a very easy way so that they can really focus on what they love doing, which is running that business.
Love doing, hate doing, it can be everything at the same time. Speaking as a small business owner, I spend way too much time focused on payments, focused on managing cash flow, focused on tax and accounting. And I work in fintech. I'm supposed to love this stuff. So I can't imagine if you're running a dance studio, how little you want to spend time focused on financing your business and focused on putting together your P&L and your balance sheets for working with lenders. So the opportunity to just use cash flow data that's already accessible to your lender, I'm sure has made life a little bit easier for a lot of companies. Jamie, I know we talked about a few of Jackrabbit's customers and there's an emphasis on dance and childcare. I'm curious, what's the range of customer types that you all work with, and who are the first to come and take a couple of loans?
The client base we have is quite diverse. Needless to say, as mentioned, it's pretty much any facility that has child activities. We have the capability to help them with their management, and we do offer a very optimal solution for posting fees and processing payments in a class-based structure. So as far as the first clients to take loans, it primarily was the dance and the gym verticals. Both of the clients I spoke with in the last 2 days actually utilized the funds for equipment upgrades. By way of example, Dance Makers actually installed some new bars and some new mirrors inside the facility. One thing we discussed, and it was kind of one of the findings that I've recently obtained from the clients from talking to them, is now that capital is in place for them and they're comfortable with it and they understand how it works, it seems like everyone's starting to think about their planned capital expenditure and then utilizing possibly capital for that, almost marrying up a capital loan to a planned expenditure. And one of the ones by way of example that I chatted about this morning was periodically in the dance studio, you have to replace the dance floor. It's an asset that wears out, these Marley dance floors that overlay the wooden floors. So every, say 3 years or so, it's a pretty significant expense. So having capital to tentatively earmark for that expense and kind of match that up is something I'm sensing that people are doing.
This is so exciting to me. As Jamie's partner, I love hearing this because just think of the opportunity that we have opened up for these dance studios. In the past, they maybe wouldn't even have thought to do it this way, but we just know it's so easy for them and they can access that so quickly that they're thinking about growing their business in a very seamless way. How would they have done this before? Brick and mortar banks? Would they maybe put it on their personal credit card, right? It's just so exciting to hear that one, we're meeting their needs, but two, they understand it. the trend that we were just talking about how these small businesses, these medium-sized businesses are really starting to understand that they have more options than just a traditional bank is so exciting because it's opening up new doors for them.
I used to go to the QuickBooks Small Business Conference, and I met a lot of small business owners who would, exactly what you were saying, Natalie, put their business expenses on their personal credit cards. And sometimes it was like a supply chain finance lender that fell through for just standard inventory. And then you put it on your personal credit card, you max out your limit, and it is incredibly stressful. It's kind of like owning a home. You just never know what expenses you're going to walk into this year that you didn't anticipate. So I'm sure that having a partner built in has hopefully alleviated a little bit of stress. Natalie, I know that you have a storied background working in payments and financial services. You were at Amex as a VP of strategy. You worked on product sales incubation at Stripe and came over to Adyen a couple of years ago. I'm curious, did you come over to focus on this capital product and really help grow it, or focus kind of more generally on Adyen's embedded finance suite?
So I focus on the entire suite, the embedded finance suite, but I'm not going to lie that capital is possibly one of my favorite products. Again, to the point of what it can really do for customers and how it can open doors. And it's just such a strong product to really help businesses grow and meet their needs. But I do look after the payment side, the commercialization of payments, as well as capital accounts, issuing, and all the products in between. So the best way to think about my focus is making sure that we have the right products and services to meet the needs of our customers and what needs to happen in between to really make sure that's happening.
And Jamey, how did you find Adyen? There are so many payment service providers in the US that do aggressive marketing trying to find businesses, but clearly something brought you to Adyen and made you stick around and has made you a very happy customer with them. I'm kind of curious what that process looked like.
Yeah, well, look, the process, we had a pretty significant book of e-payment processing from being processing for near 20 years and working with external partners. But we hired a consultant and we went through and explained everything we wanted to do and really the type of value we wanted to deliver to the customers and taking the user experience to another level. And that really brought us down to a very short list of providers in the marketplace. And after some of those got eliminated, we wound up with two. Adyen was one of them. And really looking into their tech stack and their background, there was just, for lack of a better description, kind of a strong developer core there that we really felt very comfortable with. We're a bootstrap company. We have a lot of developers here. We felt very comfortable moving forward with them. And we also liked the roadmap and the direction they were headed. Kind of the global scale that they have embarked upon, their business model as far as obtaining the banking licenses. There's just a checklist of pluses that fell into Adyen column. And I am Adyen also. I haven't mastered the Adyen yet, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Nik.
I'm trying to. I think I said it like the wrong way 3 times at the beginning of this episode, but I've gotten better. I've shown that I can learn. Well, it must be great, hearing that level of trust from somebody who has 20 years as a payments developer and a payments engineer. It's kind of like Tom Hanks telling you you're a good actor, Tom Brady telling you can throw a football well. So definitely high praise, Jamey. I'd be curious to hear, from your perspective, what was the experience like actually launching embedded lending through Adyen Capital? And there's probably other potential customers who may listen to this. And so for their benefit, would you mind just kind of walking us through what that start to finish process looks like going live?
Yeah. Again, we were fortunate enough to work with the component team, and we actually piloted the capital component in our application earlier this year. I think we actually went live in March, if I got my dates right. But I have to tell you that it was a very smooth process. It went exceptionally well. It was, as far as the allocated time on our side to implement the component and do everything we needed to do, we actually came in under budget as far as both resources and time, which is very unusual. The thing I do want to share with the capital component is that it was much more dialed in and very ready to go when we launched it. I actually expected a couple, 3 months of iteration, like everything else I've ever been involved in my whole life. It wasn't the case. I will share with you that of the 20 some odd clients that have came through the process, we haven't had a single support contact or reach out. I've followed back up with several before this podcast. Every one of them stated it was an extremely easy process. So the component team really abstracted away a lot of the complexity. It's completely digitally transformed. Everything's done in a matter of minutes. The funds are in the account typically the next day, if not sooner. So look, I have no complaints at all. It was a very efficient process to implement the capital feature.
As your partner, I love hearing that because I do believe that platforms should be able to demand the best experience possible. And that's something that we as a team have been very laser focused on. And just like Jamie said, the component is super simple, super easy. We're very, very focused as a company on making sure that we scale that experience across all of the products and services that we have. So we've been very focused on creating more components for payments, for capital, for everything in between, so that we can continue to get that feedback that it's easy to work with. It works well. You have a good experience. It didn't hurt. It was fast. So that's definitely something we're focused on. And it's really great to hear. And then the other thing that I'd love to highlight is just our banking license and how it ties back to us really caring about our customers and giving them that agility, the speed, the control that I've talked about a few times. We don't want to be beholden to third parties if we don't need to be. So for us, it's really important to make sure that we have those licenses in key regions to make sure that you get the money faster, you have fewer points of failure, that you can rest easy that you are working with somebody that is super compliant, because we are responsible for our own interpretation of the regulation and are quite conservative to make sure that we all stay on the right side of things from a regulatory perspective. So to us, it's super exciting to hear that it's just been a good experience overall, because that's truly one of the biggest things that we focus on when we think about bringing a lot of these products and services to market.
This episode is sponsored by Bridge, a Stripe company. Just as the internet made information global, stablecoins are making money global. And Bridge, a Stripe company, is the infrastructure powering that shift. Built for speed, scale, and simplicity, Bridge helps businesses send, store, accept, and launch stablecoins instantly. Serve global customers without navigating the complexities of setting up crypto rails. It's how companies like X, Shopify, and Airtime unlock new markets, reduce FX costs, and move money at internet speed. Whether you're a payroll company looking to use stablecoins for global contractor payouts, a remittance app looking to use stablecoins to expedite global money movement, a neobank in the global south hoping to offer stablecoins for dependable savings, or a treasury team wanting to use stablecoins to hedge against FX volatility in emerging markets, Bridge can help. Explore the future of global financial infrastructure at bridge.xyz.
It's such an interesting period in payments innovation, at least in the US, because you have a lot of companies that are not traditional banks and don't come from banking backgrounds, but that are chartering as banks and able to just provide financial services in a new way and with more customer alignment than what's been offered traditionally. And so whether it's getting you funding faster, or being able to understand your business context a little bit better, or bringing down your APR, or stretching out your loan term, it feels like there are a lot of new possibilities that didn't really exist before this kind of period of fintech, which I'm sure is exciting to a lot of small business owners, and hopefully is fueling more of them as they get started and stay open. I was skimming through the report that you all put together with BCG, and I noticed a few interesting details from surveys of small business owners. So one that stood out to me was where SMB funding through banks traditionally dominated the loan types for small businesses. Their funding through software providers has doubled over the last couple of years, from 9% to 19%. And 40% of small businesses now say that they consider borrowing directly from their SaaS platform instead of their bank. I'm curious, Natalie, did the data in this report kind of match what you're seeing on the ground?
Absolutely. We're seeing an evolution where platforms are really becoming the way that small, medium-sized businesses run their business. And so it makes sense when you think about it. You trust a platform like Jackrabbit. You already trust them to manage your software, to be the software that you use to manage your business. All of a sudden, payments comes in, payments being more mature than some of the financial products. That works well. It's easy. It's all under one roof. Makes sense. Then you start to see the advent of newer products, such as capital, such as accounts, such as card issuing. It all is a great experience for these users, these small businesses, medium-sized businesses, because they have one place that they can trust to really have everything that they need to run their business. So we've definitely seen this evolution of more expectations of these platforms having these products and services in place, and more importantly, them taking these products and services and really having a much more seamless, easier experience to run the business.
And what's interesting to me is that, we're really talking about a B2B2B product here, or B2B2C in some cases. And what I mean by that is not just throwing out the letter B a lot of times. It's that we have a capital product provided by Adyen that is made available to a software provider like Jackrabbit, and the ultimate end user is the small business. And so we've been talking a lot here about the end user, the small business, what they use the capital for, and what a difference it makes for them. But I also noticed that in the report, there was a little bit of a discussion about the software platforms like Jackrabbit as well, that they can grow revenues by up to 3 to 4x their current subscription income if they use embedded finance products, and that these platforms are now generating more than 50% of their revenues on average from embedded payments and finance. And so it seems like, there really is kind of a win-win-win here. There's a win for Adyen, there's a win for Jackrabbit, there's a win for the small business. But I'd love to hear from both of you, honestly. What impact are you seeing to the SaaS platforms that Adyen works with? Natalie and Jamey, have you seen it change your business as well? Maybe Natalie, we can start with you there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are seeing an impact. So of course there's the revenue side. So we're seeing up to 4xing what they would be making on their subscription business, right? Which is super exciting, of course, right? Looking to not only grow your revenue, but diversify your revenue. So making it a much more sustainable business model, which is fantastic. So we're seeing that happen in spades. So we're seeing that really play out. So that's exciting. We're also seeing, which obviously contributes to this, but the loyalty that these users have to the platform. Once they start taking one product, a second product, a third product, it really does create this effect where they trust you, they're having a good experience, but they're not going to leave, right? So it's a continued opportunity for them to grow because they're investing in their business, they're doing well, and that just stays on the platform. And the nice thing about it is that their experience, like I mentioned before, is quite seamless. When you have these products all be interoperable, all work together, as a platform, you're monetizing the same dollar multiple times. $1 comes in on capital. Then all of a sudden, potentially it can have interest on a bank account. And there's potentially interchange if they use a card to spend it. And then, of course, they're spending it to invest in their business. So there's going to be the flywheel effect that makes their payments grow. So the nice thing about it for platforms is this nice growth flywheel, like I just mentioned, loyalty and diversification of their revenue.
Yeah, Nik, as far as, the actual application layer on the SaaS side, we're seeing effectively the same thing. The expansion of revenue with processing payments is in the range as Natalie described. What I'm seeing in addition to that, though, is that with capital, there does seem to be, with the small number of clients that we've got started, I can tell you that I want to be able to measure the retention of these clients because, once you extend a financial line of credit to a client, that's a significant consideration to move away from the provider, having that in place. Literally, as discussed this morning with a client, within 24 hours, should they have an unfortunate small business event, which happens about once a month, they have the ability now to effectively go in and hit an easy button and have some relief from that, in their bank account the next morning. That's a significant value. I mean, if there's one thing I think that might be underestimated in this whole process is just the value of convenience and the value of speed to funds. So that's really resonating very well with our clients, I can tell you.
Well, Jamey, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I was looking at some of the notes that you shared before we jumped on today, and I know that you had some thoughts from 20 years of being a payments developer on the future of vertical SaaS, and called out, specifically Agentic payments, which is in payments provider world, in PayFac world, a very hot topic right now, kind of across fintech, kind of a hot topic. But you mentioned that one valued service that you provided for clients is chargeback dispute management, which, again, as a small business owner, can't stress enough, having somebody else manage your chargebacks for you is pretty nice instead of having to do it yourself. And you mentioned that Tracy Franklin, who you work with, had a 91% win rate last month in first round disputes. What gets you excited about agentic payments when you just think about the future?
Well, yeah, you do highlight a very popular service we provide for our customers, and Tracy does an outstanding job. But, our processing clients for our business are able to literally just farm out the complexity of handling disputes to us. We do that for them, and she does an exceptional job. The thing that I probably can't stop thinking about in my free time is, Google's AP2, Agent Payments Protocol. I was reviewing it a few weeks ago, and I just got sucked in. And the concept of a mandate, a digitally signed capture of a user's intent, that basically is audible and it can't be reversed. That has so many applications within vertical SaaS. I can't tell you how many micro interactions between end customers and our B2B clients could just very easily be captured with these mandates. I mean, obviously payments first, but just by way of example, with Tracy Franklin and the chargeback work, I mean, we're going down a path to where we will be able to effectively have digitally signed proof of our end customer payment card holders intent, an acknowledgement. And that's just going to literally enable me to scale her work and streamline it to a level that I haven't fully got my head around yet. But it's a very exciting time to be in payments. It really is, especially vertical SaaS.
I feel like this is a great product discovery call. Jamey spending so much time with your customers shows why platforms are important, and your relationship with Jackrabbit's customers help drive product adoption and strategy over on the Adyen side. And so hopefully, somebody is listening to this and thinking, okay, we should talk to Jamey a little bit more about what he wants to see. Natalie, if I can put you on the hot seat as well, I'd love to get your takes and thoughts on just incorporating more AI features into payment flows.
There's such an opportunity to really just get smarter, right? I think we're kind of sitting on a gold mine here where we understand these customers quite well because we see the guts of their business. We see their payments coming in, coming out. We see the chargebacks. So we can be in a different position to really offer them what they need. So if we have artificial intelligence really working with us to say, okay, well, this is coming. Maybe there's precursor to know that there's going to be some type of dip in their processing, or maybe something that tells them, oh, your bill is due. You should pay for it at this time and to do it this day, but not this other day because you want to take advantage of float. These are all things that we're thinking about. And I think the thing that's most exciting to me about this is how all of the products work together. Right? We just talked about one, but when you have all of them sitting under one roof, right? Like I mentioned, Adyen does have an end-to-end solution globally. There's so much that we can do to just make everyone's lives easier, platforms as well as the users. So we haven't even scratched the surface as an industry. So it's something we're definitely thinking about, really spending a lot of time listening to what would be the most exciting thing, because there's a lot of different ways that we could do this. So just at this point, really just love hearing the stories about like what the pain points are. And that's where we're going to focus our strategy. Just again, to the point of making it easy, making it simple so you can get back to business. That's where we're going to focus.
I know you're not supposed to ask people to play favorites with their customers. It's kind of like asking a parent about having a favorite kid, which every parent does, by the way. But I'd be curious to hear from both of you. Do either of you have a favorite customer story recently? It doesn't necessarily have to be, somebody we've talked about or a payments use case, but a favorite customer that you sat down with recently and talked to.
Actually, it's difficult because I speak to quite a few customers, and all of them will most likely see this podcast. So it's difficult to pick just one. But since I spoke with Denise this morning at Dance Makers in Atlanta, and she's a very successful dance studio owner, has been at it for a very long time. It was very, I really enjoyed speaking with her. She gave me some very good insight. She actually kind of pointed out to me the marrying up of the CapEx with the capital loan and how she can forward look, at future outlays that she has to do, and she'll be able to utilize that as a tool. So, let me go with Dance Makers in Atlanta.
So I could very easily go with Jackrabbit because you are one of my favorite customers, but I'm going to go a little bit in a different direction and talk about a customer I spoke with yesterday. I think what made me so excited about the conversation with them was that I asked them, so what made you decide to launch all of our embedded financial products? Because they have all of them at this point. And they said, we understood the pain point. So they didn't say revenue, which of course is nice. They said, this is actually going to make our users' lives easier. An account is going to give them the visibility and control that they need over their finances so that they don't need to have a shoebox full of invoices and hope for the best at the end of the month, for instance, right? They're actually going to have access to capital. They're actually going to be able to spend and pay their suppliers and manage their expenses. So it was exciting to hear a platform that doesn't focus on financial products. They focus on SaaS. It was exciting to hear them actually understand what these products can do and say, you know what, I care enough about this that this is going to be on my roadmap. I'm going to invest. I'm going to put my tech people on this to actually bring it to life. So they're my favorite customer of the day.
Love to hear that. Jamey, I believe you're based in Asheville, North Carolina. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm actually west of Asheville, about 40 miles near the small town of Bryson City, North Carolina.
I have some really good family friends in Brevard. We'd spend every summer with them growing up, and I love Asheville in that area. And I'd be remiss not to mention, that Asheville's rebuilding right now from the hurricane last year. How is everything going for small businesses down there?
It's been a struggle. It was a major event. We just celebrated the 1-year anniversary, I think this past weekend. But yeah, we're on the road back, but it has been an event, needless to say. It's been difficult.
Hopefully, providers like Adyen can play a part in that recovery and working with small businesses. And I think, a small piece of that puzzle is having the context on business operations and being able to be supportive to them when they need it the most. But I'm a huge Asheville fan, and so, can't be hopeful enough that the city's able to make a full recovery soon.
Absolutely. Well, we're definitely coming back stronger, no doubt about it.
Yeah, +1 to that.
Look, we have a couple minutes left here, but there's one topic that we cannot get away without talking about in 2025 on a FinTech podcast. Politics. No, just kidding. Stablecoins. I would be very curious because it's something that we spend so much time talking about, but decentralized payments, stablecoins, it seems like a product that's taken off in some geographies, and yet at the same time, it's not really a product that is necessarily applicable to everyone. I'm curious from either of your perspectives, is this something that you hear about at all from your customers, or is it not even on the radar?
Yes, we do get asked about this a lot. I think it's a very interesting time. This administration really has been a little bit more open than in the past. So the landscape is just changing so much. For us to have a new product in market, for instance, needs to be additive. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for ways that we can use new technology, new products, any new development in the industry to really help our customers. So that's where we're going to focus. We do have a point of view, but again, we're going to work with customers such as Jamey and see what their needs are. And from there, we'll go ahead and develop whatever the needs may be.
Nik, in our particular SaaS vertical, not so much on the end consumer side, but we have had a few conversations with some of the business owners that we serve and being able to access stable coins, especially in some of the countries that we serve overseas. But I would say that's very early in the life cycle.
I agree. I feel like with both AI and stablecoins, we're super early in the life cycle, but it just definitely paints a picture of what could come in the future. And I'm very excited to see. Hopefully we're having this conversation again in a couple of years, and we'll be able to jump on podcasts and just talk about AI features and stablecoins. All that being said, this is something that we ask everybody at the end of our conversations. We'll have a lot of interested listeners. What's the best place for them to find either of you?
As far as I go, I have a LinkedIn profile. You can contact me there.
And where can we find Jackrabbit online?
JackrabbitTech.com.
JackrabbitTech.com. Thank you. Natalie, what's the best place for people to find you if they want to follow up?
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to connect on LinkedIn. So Natalie Wexler. But of course, Adyen.com has all the right resources if you're interested in just learning a little bit more about our company, what we can offer. Definitely point you in the right direction.
Perfect. Well, thank you again so much for spending time with us today. I really enjoyed talking with both of you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nik.
Thanks, everybody.